If you were to ask me what is the greatest crossover in video game history, I could easily answer immediately. Dead Fantasy, created by the iconic legend Monty known for his work in Haloid, Ruby and Red vs. Blue. Monty inspired a generation with this absolute production created all by himself, Dead Fantasy, where you would see the iconic girlies of Final Fantasy take on the iconic girlies of Dead or Alive. And if you're like me, those were two of your favorite video game franchises growing up. When I wasn't playing Final Fantasy, I was playing Dead or Alive. When I wasn't playing Dead or Alive, I was playing Final Fantasy. If you haven't heard of Dead Fantasy, you haven't seen it, one, I'm very jealous of you. And two, click off this video, go watch Dead Fantasy immediately, all installments, all volumes at this moment, and then come back and watch this video. One of my dream videos to do on this channel is in fact a Dead Fantasy like retrospective, really like breaking down, unpacking each volume that Monty created. I grew up loving this series by Monty, and sadly, if you're not aware, Monty was never able to complete Dead Fantasy due to his untimely passing in 2015, leaving behind an incredible legacy and inspiring so many fans of Dead or Alive, Final Fantasy, future animators and artists all around the world with his work. I thought it would be really fun to kind of rank the girlies of Dead Fantasy by who slayed the most, okay? We're gonna get into the thick of things, and maybe by making this video, it would maybe inspire me to make that retrospective. I just want to do it justice, or even like a thoughts, theories, and speculation of what was to come in Dead Fantasy. What did Monty want to do and accomplish? What was his direction? Monty loved teasing Dead Fantasy, and I remember vividly like waking up each day, going on his DeviantArt and seeing if he posted something new, a new teaser about Dead Fantasy. Oh, that man was amazing, a genius, incredible, talented artist, animator. Rest in power, Monty. So without further ado, please, if you're a fan of Dead Fantasy, you should like, subscribe, and comment, okay? Because maybe I'll make more Dead Fantasy content. But let me know your thoughts on Dead Fantasy, maybe your theories, thoughts, and speculation. And without further ado, let's get on to today's ranking video. Which Dead Fantasy girly slayed the most? I'm gonna whack you good. We have our S through D tier list, okay? Starting with D. This girly didn't do anything. She unfortunately just didn't get a chance to showcase what she really had in store for the other girlies. I might have to put some of the girlies that I really like. That's the thing. Just because I might put a girly low, that doesn't mean I don't like her. I practically love everyone on this list. These are two of my favorite games ever. But fair is fair. We have to give credit where credit is due, or where it's not due. C. Cooked. Now you might notice that there are parentheses. Got cooked. But mostly this girlie kind of got cooked. She was a little bit of a punching bag. You know, she didn't really get to do much. She may have had one moment or two, but mostly she got cooked. She got cooked. She was cooking a little bit, but she mostly got cooked. B, Baddie. These are the girlies that are in the middle of the pack, okay? They are great. I love them. Don't get me wrong, but they kind of had trouble standing out. Still baddies, still love them. Again, can't emphasize that enough, but they just didn't stand out as much as the other girlies, sadly. A, 8, devoured, conquered. Okay, these are the girlies that weren't playing. These girlies were taking no prisoner and really showcasing what they had to offer and what they were set out to accomplish, okay? And then, of course, S. Slayed. This girly, come on, top tier girly in Dead Fantasy. She wasn't playing around. She made a name for herself, okay? These are the top tier girlies of Dead Fantasy that really stole the show. So I think with this list, we're going to do from worst to best. I think that's the most fun way to do it, to find out Dead Fantasy's next top model. So let's start off with our first girly, Denzel. I know, you might be thinking, when did Denzel appear in Dead Fantasy? Well, Monty did a teaser long ago featuring Cloud and Denzel. This was Monty teasing dialogue coming into Dead Fantasy. He always wanted to include dialogue in Dead Fantasy because Monty was really building a story. Unfortunately, we weren't able to learn the entirety of that story for Dead Fantasy, but Monty always said that there was a story he wanted to tell with Dead Fantasy. But yeah, there was a teaser with Denzel. So Denzel was about to appear in Dead Fantasy. I don't know what episode, if it was a flashback. Probably not as a fighter, but probably, you know, making a cameo. But yeah, Denzel didn't do anything. The next girly and didn't do anything. This is going to anger some of y'all. I'm going to put Vincent, okay? Vincent? I know. All the Vincent fangirlies and boys are going to come at me. I know. Vincent didn't really do anything. He kind of showed up in, I forget what Dead Fantasy. Was it Dead Fantasy 6? I'm not sure what the correct Dead Fantasy featuring Kyrie / Naminé versus Momiji. I don't know if that was 6 or if it was a different number. It was never kind of like officially released, because I feel like when it was released, correct me if I'm wrong, it was still unfinished. Still looked amazing, because we never got to see how this actually ended. Basically, Vincent was summoned at the end of the fight between Momiji and Naminé by a red Keyblade. And it was basically seemingly going to be Vincent versus Hayabusa, or maybe there was going to be some tag team, Hayabusa and Momiji versus Naminé and Vincent. I don't know where Monty was going with this, but it cut off right before we got to see what Vincent was about to do. Crazy battle. Like that's kind of insane to think Vincent versus Hayabusa. So yeah, he was summoned, but we never knew what was going to happen, but still kind of crazy. Mind you, this started off being girlies only. Dead Fantasy was only going to be the girlies. I think Monty even said that, oh yeah, it's only going to be girlies, but then, you know, artists are allowed to change their minds. You know, they can do whatever they want. Started including the guys. But you know what? The guys, they're honorary girlies. Next girly, I'm going to put, this might shock some people, Sisney. I know. She didn't technically ever appear in one of the volumes of Dead Fantasy. But I mean, she did appear in the G music video, okay? And shout out to the G music video, because that G music video that Monty animated introduced me to Girls' Generation and just the world of K-pop. So I have Monty to forever thank about introducing me to K-pop with Dead Fantasy. So thank you so much, Monty. I mean, Sisney ate. She didn't do anything, but she still ate in that music video. And she was in the little dance video with Obsessed by Mariah Carey. He'd had an Obsessed video with Sisney dancing along Kasumi and Tifa. But the G music video is such a core memory of, you know, my teenage years and watching it over and over again and just being amazed and astounded by the world of not only Dead Fantasy, but K-pop and Girls' Generation. But yeah, Sisney's really interesting. I always wondered, like, one, Monty made this model all on his own, which is amazing. And Sisney is kind of like no shade, a little bit of a random choice. Like, what was Sisney's role? I always wondered. Was she going to fight maybe Helena? Who was she going to fight? I wonder, what do you think Sisney was about to do in Dead Fantasy? Let me know. Was she going to fight Helena? Was she going to fight someone else? Next girly that didn't do anything, I'm going to put my DOA main, Helena. Okay, she kind of did do something. She awakened all the Kasumi alpha clones. Girl, why did you do that, Helena? I have so many questions. Why did you do that? That's wild. What was her reasoning? Monty, what was the direction? Because Helena's not a bad guy, but I think a lot of people probably perceive her as a bad guy, especially since Kasumi and the clones are not on the same side. If you watch closely, if you know the DOA lore, Kasumi and the clones, they're not an item. They're not friends. If you watch that scene again with her releasing the clones, it almost as if she seemed like distraught, and maybe she was forced to release the clones. And obviously, if you know by now, Kasumi and the clones are not on the same side. And Helena made another appearance in Dead Fantasy 5 by taking Hitomi and the unconscious Tifa away to probably like her Doa Tech, probably to Doa Tech headquarters or something. But yeah, there's lots of speculation with Helena. What was her intentions? What was she doing? The story will forever fascinate me, because I feel like I always kind of thought, maybe I should save this for a theories and speculation video, but I always felt like the girls were forced to fight each other. The girlies were at ends. There was a greater evil, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they were fighting each other because there was a greater evil, a greater antagonist that they were going to team up and, you know, take down together. That's what I was always thinking was going to happen. And I kind of say that because of also Haloid. If you watched Haloid, that was also created by Monty. Something similar happened there. So yeah, that was always my interpretation. There was a greater evil, and that there was no neither the Final Fantasy side or the Dead or Alive side was the big bad. Something else was afoot. That was forcing them to be at odds with one another. So that concludes the girlies that didn't do anything. We're moving on to the C category. This girly got cooked. I think I'm gonna... Hayate. Hayate got cooked. The first girly that got cooked. He kind of didn't do anything either. He kind of was untouched. But girl, I'm putting him in this category because he was like dodging all of Tifa's moves in Dead Fantasy 5 and making all of his ninjas do the work, you know, even though Tifa slayed them, like literally. I wouldn't want to work for Hayate. But yeah, also, you know why he's in this category? Hitomi slapped the dog out of him at the end of Dead Fantasy 5, which is another thing that makes me like, what's going on? You know, like, why was Hitomi so mad at Hayate? Maybe she didn't want Hayate to go as far to completely, you know, render Tifa unconscious. So she was clearly upset with Hayate with whatever he was doing, you know, in that fight with Dead Fantasy 5. The next girly that got cooked, I'm gonna put Rachel. Sorry, Rach. I'm sorry, Rachel. Like, love me some Rachel. Don't get me wrong. Love her. She kind of got cooked. She didn't really get to do much. She did have a moment in Dead Fantasy 2 where she like came down a swinging, broke the tower with her axe, her great axe. Other than that, though, she got tore up. She didn't really have any other big moments, sadly. We didn't get to see her full potential, sadly. Her rival was going to be Renoa. I already know that was going to be a big battle because I think Monty's favorite character was Renoa, so you already know Renoa's gonna do some crazy stuff, and I'm pretty sure Rachel was gonna do some crazy stuff too. And I think in a teaser image you see Rachel chained up and there's wings behind her, so you already know there was gonna be some awakening of a fiend within her. That would have been so cool. I think that Rachel would have gotten wings at some point in her battle with Renoa. So you see these two flying around, fighting. That's at least my thoughts and theories, speculation. It would have been really cool to see what Rachel would have been able to do. But yeah, for the most part, she did kind of get cooked in Dead Fantasy. Sorry, Rachel. Next girly that got cooked. Oh, it pains me. Oh, I'm putting all my girlies low. Momiji. Momiji kind of got cooked in her fight with Naminé. She did. I say this as a lover of Momiji. She held her own. Don't get me wrong. She did a lot better and had some pretty cool moments. More moments, I would say, than Rachel. But she kind of got cooked by Naminé. Naminé was eating her up in that fight. Like, go back and watch it. She was holding her own. Don't get me wrong. But, like, she kind of got outshone by Naminé. That was Naminé's shining moment, for sure. By far. That concludes Cooked. We have to move on to the baddie tier. The first baddie, I'm going to put Cloud. I'm going to put Cloud as the next baddie, okay? Because Cloud, boy, you were taking too long. Tifa needs you. But he did get there in the nick of time for Dead Fantasy 4, where, you know, was kind of getting eaten up by the Kazumi clones. He saved her, took her away to go, you know, towards the city where Tifa was taken. But yeah, we sadly didn't get to see what Cloud was going to do or who he was going to fight. There is speculation that, you know, he would have had some kind of interaction with Helena, because Helena looks very similar to a Final Fantasy VII character. I wonder who that is. So maybe there would have been some kind of interaction there. Maybe there would have been a fight. I don't know, but I think he probably would have fought Hayate, though. He probably would have fought Hayate because we never got to see Hayate fight. And obviously what happened to Tifa, that would have probably been some kind of revenge or something. I don't know. Next, we're going to put Hayabusa because he also saved a girly. He saved Momiji, first and foremost, from getting getting keybladed, like getting hit by the Vincent Keyblade, I believe. But also, he saved Kasumi. He saved two girlies. Oh my gosh. He saved Kasumi from the clones and like took them out all in like a couple swipes. And I forget which Dead Fantasy. I think that was the end of Dead Fantasy 5. Girl, I need to rewatch Dead Fantasy. But yeah, he saved Kasumi and he saved Momiji, but that's all we got to see. And he was probably, like I said earlier, he was going to face Vincent, which would have been such an insane battle, I'm sure. But yeah, love you, Daddy Hayabusa. Next baddie is going to be Kairi. I know, you're probably thinking, why is Kyrie so low? I guess I'm ranking her low because, well, lower than usual because I don't know, she transformed to Nominee. So I'm kind of like, I kind of putting them in two different categories, Kyrie and Nominee. I guess you can kind of argue that they should be one. But other than Kyrie being Kyrie, she didn't do a whole lot. She had like a really cool appearance. It was kind of a shocking appearance at the end of Dead Fantasy 2. Because we got an introduction of Renoa, and then we have Kyrie all of a sudden. So it was like 5 versus 4, five Square Enix girlies versus 4 DOA girlies. So yeah, but she didn't really get to do much as Kyrie. Her standout moments as Nominee are what really like stole the show. So I would put Kyrie in Baddie. I wouldn't put her any higher for that reason. Love you, Kyrie. We love some Kingdom Hearts representation. Yeah, because like honestly, if we were gonna get Ninja Gaiden characters, why not us getting Kingdom Hearts characters? Next, we're gonna put Riku. I have to put Riku a little higher than Kyrie because Riku had time to shine in Dead Fantasy 1 and 2, and her and Ayane were supposed to have this insane, crazy fight that Monty was teasing. Like, he was like, get ready. Like, this is going to blow your minds, this fight between Ayane and Riku. And he would, there's a couple teasers here and there. Riku was going to be changing dress spheres throughout the fight with her and Ayane. But in Dead Fantasy 1 and 2, she did have lots of screen time, but she didn't have like really major standout moments. I think one of her biggest moments was probably her introduction and saving, Yuna from the attack of Ayane and Kasumi. She was like a good support character in Dead Fantasy 1 and 2. She was a good support. She was playing support. Which brings us to Ayane. I would put Ayane above Riku. Ayane obviously being in 1 and 2 as well. But Ayane, remember the reference to her DOA 4 ending where she completely blew up the tower? She did her big one with that one. I love that little reference to DOA 4, mind you. And again, that fight with her and Riku. It's a shame that we never got to see it. Rest in peace, Monty. I know Monty was like really... And it's funny because that fight was supposed to be Dead Fantasy 3, but Monty changed that Dead Fantasy 3 to Tifa and Hitomi's fight because of... He asked fans, I think he did a poll, if I remember correctly. Try not to spread false info. But I think the fans wanted to see that fight more than Ayane and Riku first. But yeah, I could just tell he was really excited about the fight between Ayane and Riku. This concludes the Baddie tier, so we have to move on to the A tier. The girlies that ate. Starting first with the Kasumi clones. Okay, come on, guys. The Kasumi clones decimated, destroyed, took down all of Yuna's Aeons. I have to put them in 8. They ate up Yuna's Aeons, sent them to the far plane. And also, this was a little traumatizing to see the clones eat up like all the Aeons, including Mother Shiva. Like, we were kind of traumatized. I was traumatized for sure, because watching Dead Fantasy as a fan, a major fan of both series, I didn't know who to root for half the time. I was kind of rooting for everyone, but to see the clones just take out the Aeons so effortlessly, girl, I have to place them high. I know they're just clones, but like I needed to put them somewhere on this list. But yeah, I can't rank them higher because they did get eaten up eventually. Next girly, I'm gonna put Kasumi. I'm putting Kasumi because Kasumi was doing her thing in Dead Fantasy 1, 2, and 4, okay? She had a lot of fun moments, okay, with her teleporting. I feel like Monty had such a good time implementing her teleportation throughout 1 and 2. It was really fun to see because, like, even in Dead or Alive, I mentioned this before previously in my DOA ranking, girly ranking, Kasumi never really teleported a whole lot in DOA, but Dead Fantasy is where we really got to see her like teleportation to the max, which I think honestly, I still think Dead Fantasy inspired future iterations of Kasumi in like DOA 5 and 6. Her fight with Yuna was definitely overshadowed by the clones, and she ended up fighting the clones. So in Dead Fantasy 4 wasn't a fight technically between Kasumi and Yuna. It ended up being Yuna and her Aeons versus the clones. Dead Fantasy 4 was really special though, because this is where you got to see a shift, okay? Because Kasumi was so shocked to see her clones that she started fighting the clones, okay? Kasumi is not friends with her clones. No, she wants them taken out, destroyed. When Cloud saved Yuna from the clones, Kasumi even teleported all of the clones away from Cloud and Yuna to take on them herself until she was saved by Hayabusa. And I feel like Dead Fantasy 4 like really showed that like neither side is bad. I feel like there was a greater evil and that this was kind of potentially teasing a future team up between DOA girlies and Final Fantasy girlies, especially with the clones. Again, Helena, why did you release those clones? This brings us to the final A girly, Yuna, my girl Uni. Yuna has to be up high first and foremost. She was the first character to appear in Dead Fantasy. She was the first character seen on screen. She was in 1, 2, and 4. You know, Yuna's my girl. She was holding her own throughout every single volume that she was seen in, except in Dead Fantasy 4 where she got overwhelmed by all the clones. But it was really cool to see her like summon her dress sphere and summon the Aeons, despite, you know, as I mentioned previously, the clones eating up all of the Aeons. But I also wonder, like, it's a shame that, like, she didn't get to summon Anima or the Maga sisters. But maybe that's a good thing, so we didn't have to see Anima or the sisters get eaten up by the clones. Ah! Monty did a phenomenal job by incorporating both Gunner and the summoner Yuna. And this ultimately brings us to the finale, the S category, the Slade tier. So this is top 4. This is like the top 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race. We have to start off with Naminé, because we already talked about it before. Naminé slayed in her battle against Momiji when Kairi transformed into her. I mean, come on. I loved this interpretation of Naminé from Monty, which went on to later inspire a Ruby character, Penny, for all my Ruby girlies out there. So this Dead Fantasy fight inspired Ruby, and it was just so beautiful to see. Again, you can kind of argue like I should probably put Kairi along with Naminé, you know, just make them one character. I don't know. But I'm putting Naminé in her own placement away from Kairi. And I think Monty was also inspired by the Blaze Blue character New 13, because very similar. Do you see the similarities? I think Monty had such a fun time incorporating. I think Monty had such a fun time animating and doing this fight. But unfortunately, this was to Momiji's detriment because she got upstaged for sure. In third place, I'm putting Renoa, who debuted at the end of Dead Fantasy 2. And this, again, similar to Sisane, this model was made by Monty all on his own, because there was no, like, model of Renoa, like, HD model of Renoa in existence, aside from, like, you know, the model that came from the original Final Fantasy VIII. Looks amazing, gorgeous. I think this, again, is Monty's like favorite Final Fantasy character, or at least I always thought that. Angel Wings, she made a lasting impression. Though she debuted at the end of 2, she made a lasting impression. We never got to see her fight again. She was supposed to fight Rachel, obviously, but oh my gosh, she left a lasting impression for sure at the end of 2. She ate all the DOA girlies up with her spells, transported, split everyone up. Oh my gosh. It's such a shame we never got to see her fight with Rachel, like I said. Why did she split everyone up? Girl. Another thoughts and theories to speculate. She remained untouched, by the way. She remained untouched. Like, I don't think she ever got hit. And if she did, she shrugged it right off. Yeah, untouchable. She was untouchable. Okay. But this brings us to the final 2 of the competition. Tifa and Hitomi. Who will be Dead Fantasy's next top model? Which girly of Dead Fantasy slayed the most? I love that it's between a DOA girly and a Final Fantasy girly. Well, in second place, it's Hitomi. I know a lot of people probably are mad at Hitomi. Hitomi came in just with her fists alone. She didn't need a weapon. She didn't need materia. Well, maybe at the end of Dead Fantasy 3. She took a beating here and there, but ultimately her battle, it came down to her battle with Tifa in Dead Fantasy 3. This karate prodigy took down Tifa Lockhart by herself when Tifa casted darkness on her with the DMC soundtrack blaring in the background. Iconic, iconic, iconic. She took down Tifa. These are both of my girlies. I love Hitomi and I love Tifa. Don't get me wrong. I stand them both, but she ate up Tifa. She slayed Tifa. Got her good. Snatched her wig up at the end of DOA 3. Took her materia. Put some respect on this diva's name, okay? Okay? These are basically, it's kind of crazy. Tifa and Hitomi are like two of my favorite girlies from their respective series. And it was just really cool to see them throw down. And let's be real, it was about time for DOA Girlie to win because Dead Fantasy 2, the DOA girlies were getting eaten up for the most of Dead Fantasy 2, let's be real. Despite that, come on, in first place, it's Tifa. It's Tifa. It's Tifa Lockhart. Tifa Lockhart slayed the most in Dead Fantasy, okay? Since she appeared at the end of Dead Fantasy and basically stealing the entire show, for the most part, in Dead Fantasy 2, then having her epic battle between her and Hitomi in Dead Fantasy 3, then getting basically her own episode in Dead Fantasy 5, going against the ninjas and Hayate. How can you not say C-U-N-T? That's C-U-N-T. No one's doing it like her. Even my girl Hitomi, even though you beat Tifa got her own episode. Okay? And she ate, devoured, and slayed. Okay? No one did it like her in Dead Fantasy. I'm sorry. There's no debate. Again, this is another model that Monty made on his own, I'm pretty sure. The fact that it wasn't Pain that we got to complete YRP, it was Tifa. YRT. And again, she just had so many standout moments. Like, she owned Dead Fantasy 2, despite her getting beat up by Hitomi, losing her fight. She just the stakes were risen in Dead Fantasy 5, and she just had so many amazing moments in that. You know, she got a little beaten up. She did fall unconscious, but Monty still had plans for Tifa, and he, of course, even confirmed Tifa wasn't dead. She was going to come back, and probably stronger than ever. I sometimes lie awake at night. What was Monty? Where was he taking this story? Where were the girlies going to head? What was the next fight? Who was going to beat who? Were they going to finally join forces? When? Because I will die on this hill. The girlies were about to join forces, okay? And take down the big bad, whoever that was. Guys, this is my ranking of who slayed the most in Dead Fantasy. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? What was your favorite moment in Dead Fantasy? What are your theories and thoughts and speculation about this mysterious lore and direction that Monty wanted to go with in Dead Fantasy? I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. I know I did. It's really fun to talk about this series because it's just so mysterious and incredible, and just an amazing production that Monty was able to do all on his own. And yeah, I would love to know your thoughts, theories, and comments, and maybe your favorite moments in Dead Fantasy. And if you want to see any other videos concerning Dead Fantasy, let me know. Like, subscribe, and comment. You know the drill. I appreciate y'all so much. Taking the time to watch my silly, ridiculous content means the world to me. But more importantly, thank you so much for liking a piece of art, an incredible piece of work that Monty made, such as Dead Fantasy, and keeping it alive after all these years. Monty, thank you for making this masterpiece and inspiring us all. Rest in power, King. Until the next video, friends and family, girlies, gays, theys, and allies alike, thank you so much for being you. Hey, you run too fast!